All right, guys, this is my update video. First of the month of May. Some things I need to talk about in this video. I don't want to get to it. First thing, shaving, guys. And I don't even know, I think I ran out of talking about this. I think I ran out of things to say. So I'm gonna just kind of go off a little bit here. I haven't heard much. I've been to a couple of tournaments here lately. I haven't heard much about any shaving going on. I do know that there's a problem with it, and I don't know, like we talked about before, is unless, and I kind of look at, I don't want anybody getting hurt. And this is something that we could correct, like real seriously injured. And this is something that we could correct. I don't want to wait. I'm that guy where if there's a problem, we know there's a problem, let's fix the problem. And with all the technology of bats nowadays, because it has gotten, we have gotten more technology than it was, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. I would even say 2 years ago. And I got this question going off shaving. I got this question the other day about, this one person up there that really doesn't know anything about bats kind of said, with every bat rated at a 1.21 BPF, they're all the same. Well, they're rated at 1.21 BPF that you cannot exceed that number. And they're not gonna tell you when you go in and get it tested how close you came. So when you get a bat in there that doesn't perform up to 1.21 BPF, and they just look at you and said, okay, it passed. And they won't tell you how close it got to passing. So when you guys message me about Dave, all bats are the same, and I kind of laugh and go, no, they don't tell everybody. They don't tell everybody what's going on with the bats. The shaving part, get back to, before I get off track here, the shaving thing is unless, there was a beer commercial about a month ago that happened, and it pissed a lot of people off. And I've been preaching this for a long time. And this beer commercial pissed a lot of people off. So what did the people do? Because they got pissed off of what happened, and they were not buying the beer anymore. So things have to change. They lost a lot of money. The beer manufacturer lost a lot of money. And they changed, right? They're going to change. Apologize or whatever. The only way to change things is don't buy the product anymore. If you don't like what they're selling, or you don't like what they're pushing their agenda, if you don't like what they're promoting, then don't buy the product. And that's what happened. And I'm saying the same thing with, if you have, if you guys don't like shaving so much, and if this bat manufacturer comes up with a chip, puts it in their bats, I think a lot of people would jump on and buy that certain one bat because they're tired of the shaving, where all the other bat manufacturers would have to put that chip in. It's going to take that. I mean, it's going to cost a little bit of money, but it's going to, I'll pay an extra $5 for the chip to get that bat. And if it's, I know there's a line a lot of people draw where if it's got to perform within the top 10, I would pick it. If it was in my top 10, I would pick the bat if it had a chip in it. And you can tell it wasn't shaving. Unless we have a group of people that did the same thing with that beer manufacturer, beer company, and just not buy the product because they're tired or they did something, or it's going to have to take that, like I talked about with a lot of the tournaments. If you don't like what they're doing, you don't like what they're pushing, then don't go to the tournament. It's going to affect them. They'll have to change. We're the guys that are in charge. You're in charge. They're not in charge. They think they're in charge because they have all the money. Then don't go to the tournament. I was talking about this at SSUSA years ago about the shitty umpires, and I could talk for days about the umpires. And I'm not saying about all umpires. I think there is a lot of great umpires out there, but they got those weekend warriors, and I think it makes those guys that get in those tournaments that just want to collect a paycheck, makes the guys that are very good look like shit. So the umpiring is gotten a little bit better. But when you got guys out there complaining because they're umpiring and they shouldn't even be there, and I've heard it the last tournament I was in, the umpire was talking to me behind the plate, didn't even want to be there. And he doesn't know the game. You know, you have U-Trip umpires that got so much of a short supply. And, you know, they got U-Trip umpires coming over and doing senior softball tournaments, and a lot of them don't know the rules. And you're talking about national tournaments, and I have videos on this where the guys that are doing a national tournament in Vegas are asking the tournament director the rules as their games are being played. I mean, that's just uncalled for, especially when you pay them that much money as you guys pay. But this bat shaving thing, if there's not a movement on to get things changed, nothing's going to happen. If you don't affect people in their pocketbook, I think that's the only, what's sad about it is nothing's going to be done. It's going to have to take a couple of guys, you know, getting really hurt or God forbid even dying to actually somebody start pushing, you know, hey, we need to start doing something, you know, and I guarantee you it won't be changing the bats or putting a chip in. It'll be putting a screen up, you know, be throwing a screen out there. That'll be the next, if something happens. Let's not focus on the bats and screw the bat manufacturers because they're making a shit ton of money. Let's just throw a Band-Aid out there and throw a screen up. Keep shaving your bats. And that's what we've turned into, I guess, out there where nobody wants to, you know, nobody wants to do anything about it. Just let them do it. Bat company, as long as you're buying a product, bat company ain't going to do anything about it. So you got to affect their pocketbook for anybody to change. All right, there's a lot of stuff going on. I have made the decision, I talked to my guys, that I have made the decision to jump into ASA Bat Reviews. So in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to get some ASA bats in, and we're going to start swinging ASA. And there's a couple of reasons why I'm going to do this. And one of them is a lot of you guys out there are asking me for it. Have I swung these ASA bats? And I'm trying to put two and two together, and I kind of know why. A lot of you seniors out there, you know, we have league ball here in San Antonio. League ball is ASA. A lot of the seniors, we have league and seniors here too. But a lot of the guys that are playing seniors actually still play league ball. And it's ASA, and they go from ASA in San Antonio to senior ball. So what better way? A lot of them don't play U-Trip here in San Antonio. I don't, you know, in Texas, there's not a lot of U-Trip tournaments. You got to travel to go play that. But there is a league. So a lot of your leagues in Texas, in the United States, you know, a lot of those guys can't swing their senior bat there, even if they're in their 60s and their 70s. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go jump right on into doing ASA bats the same way I do these senior bats, because a lot of the guys are older that play ASA in the league. And then talk to them about balance points, talk to them about softness of the barrel, hardness of the barrel, and then start doing all that. So give me about a couple of weeks. I'm going to buy a few bats. I'm going to start hitting those as we do when we're doing our senior bats. When we're doing the reviews, we kind of mix in some ASA bats and kind of talk about them and basically use the same knowledge that we have when we do our reviews on our senior bats, and then put them into the ASA and talk about them and check the performance, you know, balance points, weight distribution, which one's got a heavy end load, light hands, kind of just talk about the same thing and go into that, because I think they kind of go together, not necessarily U-Trip. I'm going to stay away from U-Trip. There are just so many bats out there. I would be swamped. And I think that's the reason a lot of these bat reviewers that are doing U-Trip bats and that are very good, a lot of people are talking about getting into the senior market, and they're like, nah, maybe someday. But it's hard, guys, you know, to keep up with everything. And a lot of times we're so swamped that by the time we get done, the bat that we were going to do a review on has already came out with another different 2.0 bat. So we're kind of like kicking ourselves in the butt trying to get everything going. And I think in ASA, there's not really a lot of ASA bats out there. So I can kind of throw them in here and start doing ASA with senior softball, and I think that would help out a lot of the seniors out there that do play league ball, which is ASA. A few of you guys are asking me, and I'm kind of mark these off as I'm going. A few guys ask me about the wig popper. How do you determine what run it is? Is it the first run, second one run, third run? This is a new one right here, and it has nothing on it. It has some SKU numbers down here, but they don't put, you know, date of birth, which California Bat Company is the only one out there that has date of birth on theirs. And I think this is an idea that a lot of the bat companies are going to start doing, is they put their date of birth on there the day that bat was manufactured. And a lot of these, see, that's another thing too, the enforcer who is, yeah, they got it too, right there. And I think that tells you, which I talked about this in the last video, a lot of you guys are, because of what's happened in the past, are paranoid about different batches, and I understand. And if these bat manufacturers out there can ease everybody's concerns, I think it would be beneficial for a lot of them to start putting date of births that they're manufactured out in the open, not underneath the hands. And I've never seen one that actually had the date of birth underneath the hands. I've looked at all the SKU numbers and compared them to other ones. But the only way that I could tell is through the wig popper, is when they're sent to me or when I buy one. And then I'll ask them which one is this from, and they'll actually tell me. And I've got all the way up to the fourth run, I've got those, because a lot of my guys order them and I get them to them. And they swing them in BP with me. And if they would say something's wrong with it, I would hear it right there. So yeah, I kind of wish a lot of these bat manufacturers out there would put date of birth on theirs. I'm kind of go through all this stuff and kind of want to talk about some things. I'm going to put a video out on this, but I don't want to break a lot of you guys' hearts, man, here. You guys remember the old Adidas bats? You guys remember, and I did a video on this years ago. You guys remember all the old Adidas bats and Reeboks? What happened was, and I think the Reebok came along, really good bats, top tier bats, game changers, in my opinion, because of the guy who built them. What happened the last year, and I'm gonna kind of make a lot of you guys kind of weary of what's going on here, is when Reebok manufacturing those bats found out that their contract that year was going to expire and Reebok was no longer going to produce senior bats or whatever else they were doing. I think they had a Reebok ASA or a U-Trip bat, whatever. I don't remember that ever taking off. But Reebok, what happened that last year is they knew that the contract was coming up, so they didn't use top quality carbon in their barrels. And so the bats didn't perform as well. It happened to the Adidas too, because if you guys remember, Adidas came and took over that warehouse in China, and they started making the bats, and they were as good or even a little bit better than the Reeboks. Same thing, when their contract, when they said we're not doing, you know, Adidas was like, we're not doing senior bats anymore. What happened that last year run, because they had to produce so many of them that year, those bats weren't as good as the previous year or two. I don't remember how long they were in it, 2 years, 3 years maybe. Those bats weren't as good. So when I see these bats, I wanted to give you guys a warning, because when I see these bats on eBay going for $300, $350, guys beware, because that, and I've talked to a couple of guys that actually told me that their bats sucked. And I talked to him about what happened, because I had put this video out. If you guys, and I understand, I got over 2,000 videos out there. And I said this years ago, and I just want to talk about it now. Don't jump at the opportunity to buy a bat when that bat might be from that last year that they actually manufactured that bat, and they didn't put the right shit in it, or the right, you guys are gonna, okay, let me rephrase this. The right rosin, because I said carbon a minute ago, right? So they may be downgraded, or maybe downgraded on the rosin that they put in there. A lot of you guys know about bats, know what I'm talking about. So something they did that last year. The reason I know this, I swung those bats. Those were my gamers. And then I kind of like red flag, something's going on here because it doesn't perform like the one last year. Then I started asking questions, and people started talking to me. Leaks, informants. Got a lot of minions out there. So I got this information. I put out a video right when it happened, the year that it happened. I kind of explained it, guys, watch out. But what I see now is a lot of these bats are being sold on eBay or being sold on these buy, sell, and trade, and they're going for a lot of money. Don't just jump on it. You know, if you can test the bat out, swing it, see if it performs, then go ahead and get it, then it's not from it. Here's another thing too. Same thing I was talking about, you know, with this bat. If that ever happened in this bat, you would know, right? You would know the date of birth, but Reebok and Adidas does not have a date of birth. So how do you tell? You can't tell. And up to today, you know, California Bat Company, you can tell with their bat only. There's a tournament going on this weekend. Today is Wednesday. I hit balls in the morning, and I'm going to take a short BP. Usually what I do before I play on Friday. Tournament is Texas State. It's up in Grapevine. I will be there. I'm leaving on Friday morning. We play in that afternoon. It's a 4.5-hour drive. I dread that. But yes, I'll be in Grapevine this weekend playing in Texas State with Demolition. We are doing batting gloves. I got a set in the other day, California. I'm going to get some of those. Talk to Leroy about that. And I'm going to short porch. We have short porch, and I have 6 guys, and I'm going to kind of give a couple guys this set and then give another couple guys of this set. But how do you do batting gloves? I'm going to tell you how we're going to do them. Basically, they fit your hand good. What kind of hands do we have? Another thing too. And how long do they last? They're comfortable. When you start hitting with them a little bit, do they stretch out? So basically that's what you're going to get when we're going to do a glove review. I've got a lot of you guys, and I'm going to change this week when this comes to this, but I sell, whenever I do a review on a bat, let's say this one, there's a video coming out. Actually, when you guys watch this, the video came out yesterday. So it's coming out on Thursday, which is tomorrow, a video coming out on this one. And it's a start of a video. And then on Friday, this update video should be coming out. But what I do with all the bats I have left over, if they are good, my guys get them first. They say, hey, Dave, I want this bat. Okay, go ahead and take it. But the bats that they don't want, that I have maybe too many of, because I only can take one, they can't hoard them, you know, just take 5 of them. So I actually do have some bats that are left over, and they will go on sale on eBay. I don't like, I'm not trying to be a dick here, man. I don't like selling to people that call me up and just want to buy a bat, or somebody that comes by when we're hitting and say, hey, I'll buy this one, buy that one. I don't do that. I've been burned a few times in the past. And it's, you know, guys, it's that 1 or 2 guys that I get burned by that screws everybody. Where I don't want to do it no more. I don't want to deal with it. I want to put up with the bullshit. You know, bringing a bat to me. This has happened, man. Bringing a bat back to me that I sold him that cracked. But I guess they think I'm a dumbass. So I kind of look at the bat, and it's got all beat up on one side. And he brought it about 2 weeks later, almost like he didn't like the bat. And I said, okay, I'll get you another one. No, can you get me this other one? No, I'll get you this one. Well, I don't want that one. I want the other one. Okay, here's the other one. I'll give it to him. But find out he beat it up against a tree to crack it and give it back to me. And this is a friend of mine. And then the guys that don't pay me. Hey, I'll catch you next week. All right, man. Look, I'll just go by eBay. Just don't ask me anymore. And I'm not saying that you're the one that's going to do it. It's just that there are people out there, man. It just... All right, hey, here's a bat for $100. Well, can you take 50 for it? Dude, the bat's worth 150. Anyway, I don't like putting up with stress. So that's just extra added stress for me. eBay's not. You buy it, you pay for it, I send it to you, that's it, we're done. And I actually explained to you how many hits it got on eBay. So what I'm gonna do, get past that. What I'm gonna do on eBay is I'm gonna open up my own store. It's gonna Senior Softball Bat Reviews on eBay. And I'm gonna start selling my own bats, own product, anything I have left over. T-shirts, stuff like that. And I'm gonna try to get it under Senior Softball Bat Reviews. Somebody messaged me the other day about they're gonna start compression testing senior bats and what did I think the number was when they do senior bats, and it's a league that they're gonna, which is pretty good, which is a league they're gonna start compression testing at, and nobody has a number. They have a number in U-Trip, they have a number in ASA, but nobody has a number in senior. I gave them a number, it was 170. If it tests below 170, kick it out. So that was the number that I came up with because of all the bats that we've swung. So I don't know if that's a number that, I really don't think that all these sanctioned tournaments, ISSA, USSSA, SSUSA, are going to start compression testing anytime soon. If anything happens, they're going to throw a screen out there in front of the pitchers, and the pitchers are going to get pissed because they don't want to screen. A lot of pitchers don't want to screen at the highest level. Somebody made the comment the other day about Dudley. I am in the process of getting some Dudley bats, but I'll show you in a minute all the bats that I have in line in front of Dudley, in line in front of Proton, and it's going to be a while before I can get to them. And their bats are already out being sold about a month and a half ago. They don't jump in front of the line. You know, I'm going to have to buy some and then, you know, put them in line and then maybe start hitting them in behind the scenes and batting practice, get them broke in, give them to a few guys to actually have them hit them and break them in like that little, you got to go in a little line. But, you know, why hasn't Dudley, because on these bats, guys, you have skew marks on them. Well, the OGs has skew numbers behind here because every time they make a bat, they put a skew number on it, on what's being put, or the flex points, and the flex points I'm talking about, the flex in the barrel, stiffness of the barrel, carbon, all that's in a skew number on those Dudleys. Why can't they just keep making a Dudley? Okay, guys, and I've said this in a lot of videos, the day of the Dudley is done, it's gone. There will be no Dudley ever made like that. And they said, well, why don't Dudley make them and charge about $600? Dudley would have to charge over $1,000 for a brand new one of those bats to make any kind of money. I threw out the number, $1,200, brand new bat to make any kind of money. Dudley can't jump the price up for $600 and expect to make any. That's how good those OGs were made. I think the OGs were made better than the 2.0s, a little bit, but the 2.0s are still second, right after the OGs. There's no bat out there. Look at what they tried doing to the reissued bat. That bat cracked, you know, and what they did was they tried to do the same. They tried to make it not last as long so they can try to make money off of it. And it cracked within 900 swings. They still lost money. At cracking, they have close to 1,000 swings, and they still lost money. So their number, I'm going to tell you what their number is. Their number is 300 to 400 swings they want to get on a bat. That way they can make money. And I understand, they're in it to make a profit, right? And I understand that. What Dudley did is spoil a lot of you guys that has those bats, and you want it to go back to that. It's not going to go back to that. They can't make any money off that. So leave that shit alone. You find one in good condition, and I don't give a shit what anybody else telling you out there. You find one in good condition, it's worth its weight in gold. I'm just telling you. For the guys that are under 75 mile an hour bat speed, that bat will last you forever. And what I see is a lot of the guys that have that under 75 mile an hour bat speed, those are the guys that are buying it. Because think about it, that barrel gets soft, right? The over 75 mile an hour bat speed guys will get that bat and it's going to implode on them. They have to give it away or throw it away or whatever. You know, the older guys, that under 75 mile an hour bat speed, they can, who cares if it implodes? Their bat speed's not up there to collapse that wall any, where it's going to lose performance. So the guys that out there say, how come they won't make any money at it? That's why they're not going to do it. I want to get a video together, and I talked about this the other day. Since I'm doing this above 75 mile an hour, below 75 mile an hour, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, and it's probably going to be an hour-long video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to go through all of my reviews and I'm going to separate them. I'm going to tell you what bat is good. And what made me think about this the other day was the Bobby Nifong. You guys remember that bat? A good bat. That was a good bat. And the only reason it got taken down off my top 10 is because they discontinued it. They quit making it. So it got taken down. So what I did was talk about the Bobby Nifong in a minute. What I thought about doing is going back to all my reviews in the last couple, 3 years and separate them and sit here in front of you and talk about this bat is good for women, this bat is good for the 75 mile an hour minus guys, and then this one's good for the 75 mile an hour. This review over here that I did on this bat is good for the upper 75 mile an hour plus. And the reason is because guys were talking about the Bobby Nifong. I'll go back to that one too. That bat was only good for 80, 85, 90 mile an hour guys. So your bigger guys, your stronger guys, love that bat. You guys with that 60, 65, 70 mile an hour bat speed hated that bat because it takes, for the bigger guys, it takes 600 swings to get that barrel to loosen up. Once it loosened up, it was hot for probably around 4 tournaments and then it blew up. But it was, you can compress that wall. Bubba loved that bat. Well, why? Because his bat speed's at 105 at the time he was swinging it. So that's what I want to do. A lot of what I want to get is, I want to get a lot of you older guys under 75 mile an hour, get you where you're on a straight path on where you have to go because you're not collapsing that wall on that heavier, that over 75 mile an hour bat speed guys. So the Bobby Nifong, you guys buy a Bobby Nifong that I had in my top 10, you're going to pick it up, and I said this in the last video, you're going to pick that bat up and start swinging it, and you're going to think that bat sucks. Well, yeah, it does for you, because you're not generating enough bat speed. So I want to go do a whole separate video on that. Give me a little time to do it, because I got to go cherry pick all the bats I want to talk about, and the Nifong will be in there, and I'll talk about that one. But I think that would benefit a lot of you guys that are going around, and you're looking for bats, and people, our friends, have them in their bag, and they go, man, that bat just never worked for me. And your bat speed might be a little different. Well, it would work for you. Now, doesn't mean it's a piece of shit bat. It just means that it didn't work for him because of his miles per hour that he was generating swinging that bat. So I want to do that video for you guys, and I want to keep doing, like when I do all these reviews on these bats, I want to keep talking about that. And the women, another thing too, in that video too, I'm going to talk about women's, what are the best bats. I might do that separately. What are the best bats for women out there to swing, and pull up all my reviews and go back, you know, and just start going through the whole list of all of the bats that women can use. And another thing too, on you guys that are under 75 mile an hour, and I go to you tournaments and I can see what you're swinging and you're listening, right? 2.0s, the OG Dudleys, doesn't matter, balanced 13-inch, you know, the red knobs, a 12-inch. Doesn't matter. If you're under 70, you got that low bat speed, those bats are badass for you because you're collapsing that wall. I don't think there's another bat out there that I can remember right now, maybe a couple of Micans, that actually the barrel gets that soft for you. Okay, prime example, when I do that video, the red Ultra Mican, the 12-inch Gamer, that bat is very good for you guys with that under mile an hour bat speed on 75 mile an hour. That would benefit you. And I'm gonna put this on the video. AT-18, the Alan Tanner from 2022, the teal and orange bat, that bat, which he doesn't make it anymore. And apparently, I don't understand this shit. He's tweaking, he's developing another bat. I seen him in a video last week, Alan Tanner. Dude, you had a badass bat last year. Why are you changing? Maybe he's going after a lot of his bat speed, because he's in the 90s, 100. So maybe he's going after that, not the guys that are older. With that bat, that AT-18 from last year, guys, if you can find one, you know, I'm not talking about the 75 and above, I'm talking 75 and below. Go after that bat. That is a very good bat. But in the video, just look at my video. I'll be talking about them in there. There is a new bat company that is coming out, another one. And I'm gonna kind of give you a little teaser here and I'll put it up right here and you guys can see it. Spartan Bat Company. It's a new bat company. Told me the other day that they're gonna kind of, if I did a update video to kind of mention them in there, but they're out of, I wanna say Dallas area. And they're gonna get into the bat manufacturers and just start producing bats for, that's just something in there. And I think what happens with a lot of these people out there that on the edge of doing this, they see the success from a lot of the new guys, a lot of the guys that don't have deep pockets, and it's gonna create a rush of a lot of these. I'm not saying a lot, but a lot of these you know, guys that, hey, they did it, I can do it. And I think that's great for everybody. I think that's great for people that want to pick bats out. We have gotten to, it wasn't like it was 10 years ago. It wasn't like it was 5, and I said this earlier, but what we're doing is we're starting to pick bats, and it's a movement. It's a movement. We're starting to pick bats on hand flex, handle flex, weight distribution in bats. I want to talk about something about that too. Weight distribution in bats and softness of the barrel, hardness of the barrel, who it benefits, miles per hour, minus 75 above, 75 below. You know, you're going to have bats to fit a lot of people's swing. Like, okay, somebody said the other day, Onyx is putting out a bat every 6 months, but you don't understand what Onyx is doing. All Onyx bats, and I'll talk about them in a minute, are not the same. They're not painted over shit. Like they're working on 12-inch barrel, 13-inch barrels right now. It's not painted over shit. There is something, I know this today, after swinging it. He does something different to every bat because he's trying to go after bat speeds. He's trying to go after people with different handle flex. He's moving into and I think a lot of these people are too, that are these top tier bat manufacturers right there. There's 3 of them, might be 4 coming up, but there's 3 of them that are going after women's slow pitch. Because women, girls, you cannot pick up a man's bat and swing it and expect to get performance that a man gets out of it. It's got to be built for women. So I think of what happens when these guys are brainstorming, let's go after this is me, 50 mile an hour guy. Because 50 mile an hour guy, it's hard for him to pick up an 80 mile an hour guy's bat and get any performance out of it. It's hard for the guy doing 80 miles an hour to pick up a 50 mile an hour guy's bat and get any performance. So I think it's pretty badass on where it's going, because it's not just like one bat fits everybody. You're gonna have to go by bat miles per hour. I've been preaching that for years, man. Been preaching that for years. So I think this is a good thing, this Spartan bat company that's coming out. And I'm not going to give too much information on it, but there's another bat company to look for out there that you guys, and I actually had to pull that up and talk about it and put my stuff back up here. But yeah, a new bat manufacturing company. Now here's another thing too. Brian Banks. He's been probably with me. He's been a follower for years. We have talked a few times. And kind of brainstorming, picking each other's brain a little bit, not really on the phone, but just texting back and forth. And I want to talk about something he sent me the other day. He sent me a video the other day, and I looked at it. And I'm not going to go too deep into it, but it's already in the process. You guys know how I do. Give me a minute here. You guys know how I do balance points, because there's nothing out there right now for a softball bat that can actually do balance points. So I'll take a bat and I'll get it level. And I found out that you stick this right underneath here, and this is bat tape. It actually makes that end pretty level. So it picks it up. This is what I use, just bat tape. A lot of you guys asking me. Almost an empty roll bat tape. It fits right in there. And then I put a little crease in it where actually you can put it up on that crease and it won't roll off. And I'll put them 34 inches away from each other. And then I have this, right? This is the scale. I got a mark in the middle. See it? I'll put that bat head right on that mark, and it should be flush. So what I do, and I know it's not completely exact or accurate, but I know it's pretty damn close, especially when I'm doing it on all of my bats, right? And I've created a system with that. And then I'll turn it around and I'll put that knob right there on that mark, and I'll weigh that knob weight. Call it knob weight. And what I see in a lot of bat companies nowadays are loading the hands lighter. Wasn't like that years ago. You guys remember the Combat? Combat had heavy hands. DeMarini, heavy hands. Mikan, it still has heavy hands on Mikans. So what that would create is a balance point somewhere in here. A lot of you guys, old school guys, used to slide it off the end of the table And when it would fall, you'd create a balance point. You'd mark it and you'd try to get a bat as close to that balance point as you could if you like swinging that bat. So that creates a number for me. I have a number of my balance points on my bats that I like to swing. Trey's, because of his bat speed, Trey is different. Mark Reeves is different. Chino's different. Bubba's different, right? So they, in their mind, they got, and this is what I've been preaching for 13 years doing this. Actually more than 13 years, because I preached this way long before in the past. So we get our numbers together, we have a balance point, okay? There is no other way of doing this with a softball bat. Not saying a senior bat, because they're all the same the way they're made, right? 34 inches, was supposed to be 34 inches long. Because of Brian Banks sent me that video of somebody, I'm having him try to build me a machine, and he has a 3D printer, and the guy knows his shit. And he's one of these guys that is doing his shit on his own. I've contacted him 5 times in the last month. I've sent him bats, and it's going to take a while, but he is in the process of developing a way to accurately get balance points off of a bat. So that's in the process right now. I thought that was something when I talked to him the other day, and Brian is the one who Brian actually talked to him too, so he can vouch for me. And we are in the process right now now he's trying it. He's got it done on a few other items, but he's trying it, and he's going to find out if he can do it with a bat, a slow pitch softball bat, basically, because this can actually be done with U-trip, ASA, and maybe even fast pitch. If the movement, right, because I started this movement 13 years ago, if the movement catches on and people start looking at balance points more, handle flex more, flexing the barrel a little bit more, depending on how fast your bat speed is. So that's in the process right now. It's going to take a while, but he said that and I said, hey, there's no rush. I've been waiting on something like this to happen for 13 years to try to find out how more accurately we can check balance points in bats. And then boom, all of a sudden you have this machine, you check your balance points on a bat. Let's say you like swinging a 2.0. And then what I would do in my website is I would create on all these bats, I would create balance points. And all you have to do is go, if you like swinging a 2.0, man, I just love that bat. They don't make them no more. I don't want to pay $1,000 for it, but I love that bat. Well, hell, you can go to my website and pick up a balance points if this ever happens. And I'm trying to get way ahead of myself on talking about this, but this is what I want to try to create, is you can go to my website, picks the balance points of that red knob, right? And then go out and start checking balance points on all these other bats. I would check them when I'm doing reviews on them, and holy shit, if that balance point on this bat compares to the red knob, why wouldn't you buy one of these? Because the balance points are the same and you're used to swinging it, muscle memory. Okay, I talked about that too. So this is something that's in the works that's going to happen one day. I hope within the year, because he's still got to design it. He's still got to test it, with all the numbers and stuff. And actually when it makes my head, when I read his texts or emails to me, because they're contacting each other on email, and he lives in Texas. And when he's sending me the email and I'm reading, I'm like, oh man, okay, my head hurts now, thinking way too much on this. Let me talk about bats now. Reviews that are coming up. Let me see. Johnny Dykes, Higgy, Short Porch, DaBomb. I think I'm talking too much, man. This review's coming up. First, let me explain to you about this bat. This bat is designed, before you guys see the review, I'm not gonna tell you where I'm gonna put it yet, but before you guys see the review, this bat is designed for these guys. So the higher bat speed, you guys under 75 mile an hour, don't get that bat. You're not gonna be able to flex that barrel. You're not gonna be able to flex that handle and flex that barrel because your bat speed's not that high. Those guys with that 75 plus mile an hour bat speed, great performance on that bat. There are other ones here, kind of go through them. This is the little Mexican California Bat Company. Love this bat. This review will be out within a couple of weeks. It's got a little bit thinner handle than normal. I think he went a little thinner than last year. He said he did, but I don't think it's too much thinner, but it's got a little bit thinness to it. It's not your average handle. It's more like the Bill Blake. The Bill Blake from last year, the gold one. This is kind of like the same handle. Billy's might be a little smaller. A little bit, but not much. This is the one, we're gonna have this review out in a couple of weeks, and you'll see video on this. You just seen some video, but you'll see video on this coming up within the next a week or two. This is, I can't show that one yet. That one's not even out. This cell block, a lot of you guys asking about this, a lot of flex in the handle. You guys, and I wanna, before I put the review out on this, and you guys seen the video, is a lot of you guys under 75 mile an hour bat speed will love this bat. You know, I'm gonna say love this bat. The flex in the handle will be, we just start swinging it, guys. We're gonna try to get the barrel to loosen up a little bit before I totally commit on that under 75 mile an hour being a very good bat. But it looks good, us swinging it. What I'm talking about, the under 75 mile an hour bat speed, is you guys are gonna flex this handle a little bit, not much. The women out there will flex it a little bit, not much, but it helps with the performance on it. And I said this in a video too, when you guys under that 75 mile an hour bat speed, you've got to have a little bit of flex in your bat. So if you pick this one up, you're not going to flex this, right? On an under 75 mile an hour, this is for the guys that are younger that have that bat speed over 75 mile an hour. You're going to pick this up and you're going to swing it. And you're not going to flex that. It's going to feel like a log when you're swinging it. You're not going to like it and kind of throw it. You're going to think it's a piece of shit, which it's not. And you're going to throw it to the side. But the one thing that this bat will do for you is this bat will flex for you a little bit. So you'll get that performance out of the barrel. You got to have flex in the handle to get performance out of the barrel. You can have a badass barrel and have no flex and you can be under 75 mile an hour and you're not going to get the full performance of that barrel. This bat is good for the 75 minus mile an hour guys. Where it's going to fit in my top 10, I don't know yet. So that's going to be something we'll talk about. I'm going to get more swings on this bat before I actually start talking about it. Enforcer. A little bit about this bat before you, I know you guys saw the video on it that I put up the other day if you do watch my channel, but the one I want to talk about this bat doesn't swing. This bat is more for the bigger guys. I'm saying 80 mile an hour, 90 mile an hour bat speed guys. This bat is loaded. I keep on hearing Leroy talk about it. It's got a half-ounce end load. It does not have a half-ounce end load. It's good. This is a 26 ounce, guys, and if you guys know numbers, this is not a half-ounce end load. It's 25, not 5 on the total weight. It's got a 16.9 on the end, almost a 17. It's got an 8.5 on the hands. It would have been a half-ounce end load if that hand weight would have been like a Johnny Bailey. Hand weight would have been like a 9.5. Johnny Bailey's a 9.5, and it's got a half-ounce end load. So, and it's got that on the end on the Johnny Bailey. 27 ounce though. So for this to be a half-ounce end load or a quarter-ounce end load, what they're talking about, this hand number has got to be up higher. So this is more like when you grab it, guys, you're going to feel it. It's going to feel like you're swinging a sledge. But the one thing they did about this bat is they put weight somewhere other places in this bat that I don't think it's a bad thing on what they did. This bat performs. I like the way this bat performs. It just takes a little bit more swinging to get it there. Onyx. 47 minutes in this video. We have video of us swinging this bat out. This is a bat, real quick, before we do the final review on it. This is a bat within 5 to 10 swings. It's going to change sounds on you. You get really good performance on it. It's not going to take long to get there. I think I said in the video, like you can put 50, 40 swings on it, depending on what your bat speed is, and you can put it in your bag and it's ready for the game. Now, you guys that are under the 70, 75 mile an hour bat speed, it's got a little bit of tougher barrel to you. Flex is really good in the hands and the handle. Flex is good up here. You know, it's not that bad. It doesn't have a lot of flex like the Hangman does. Doesn't have this kind of flex, but it's got a little bit of flex. it just, you've got to compress the wall. It's got a little bit harder wall on it. So you guys that are lower, I would say stay away from it. You guys that are higher, the ball flies off this bat if your bat speed's above 75 mile an hour. I want to talk about this one too. They came out with a 13-inch, which that one was too, the blue one. This is a balance. Nick Price, this is a balance. We just first picked this bat up the other day, and the numbers on it, it's a 26 ounce. It's got a 16.2 on the end, and it's got a 9.3 on the hands, and they're calling that a balanced bat. But you notice what they did here, right? You guys know I've been throwing numbers out here. 16.2 on a 26 ounce. So they got the end weight down, and they got the hand weight up a little bit on a balanced bat, a 9.3. So yeah, the way this bat is put together, it's a balanced bat. It's probably going to be a good performing balanced bat because of those numbers right there. Great ball, great barrel on this bat. I think it's a little thinner, and for you 75 minus mile an hour guys, you're going to love this bat, because I think what they did was, because you don't have that big mass to actually crack this bat, they actually made the wall a little bit thinner. I say a little bit thinner, but it sounds a little bit thinner, because I think it made it a little bit more hotter than the other bats, because you don't have that mass that might compress that barrel and too much and crack it. So they can get away with not having that big mass on there. They could get away with not having it on there if they make the barrel a little bit livelier. And that's what they did. If you guys remember on the OG Dudley, that black bat, they actually put no weight in the end of it, and they made that barrel hotter. And that bat actually lasted, I'm gonna say average back then, about 800 swings, 900 swings on that bat, because that barrel was more livelier. Why didn't it last? That's what a lot of you guys asked me. Why didn't that barrel last like the the OG on the end load? Well, the barrel's different. It's a lot more hotter, but you didn't get that big mass to help carry it. You got that ball through the infield. Those bats were made great, is what I'm saying. So what Carlos did here with this bat is, and just by a swing, and I can tell you exactly what, he hadn't told me this, but I can tell you exactly what he did is, this barrel's a little bit more livelier for you balanced guys, but you don't have that big mass to crack it. So I'm not saying it's not gonna crack, it is gonna crack, but it's gonna last a little longer. Like I said, look at the number, guys. The number is gonna be around 300 to 400 swings of what they want. This bat right here, we just started swinging this one the other day, and this is a big 1 ounce end load. And I even have it on there too, the 1 ounce end load. Pilar Maya, and that's his bat. Okay, here's what I want to talk about with Carlos, and I think a lot of these other bat companies, California Bat Company did it too, and Short Porch is doing it. They're just not putting out a bat, like they're not putting out the wig popper, and then all of a sudden they're putting out a 13-inch wig popper, putting out a 12-inch wig popper, like the wig popper is 12-inch. But I'm saying they're not going to put out a 13-inch and with the same barrel and then call it something else, paint over it, right? They're not doing that. And that's what I like about these guys that are doing this. This bat is not. First swing yesterday, this bat makes a weird sound, a sound I've never heard before. And you guys, when what I told the guys today, what it sounded like, yesterday, what it sounded like was, you guys have paper towels, right? And you know when you're finished with a roll of paper towels and you have that round tube underneath it, that cardboard tube, take it and smack it up against like this countertop. And that sound that it makes, that's the same sound I get out of this. But the performance, and it only lasts for probably around 30 swings, and it goes away and it starts making that big crack sound. So right there, I tell you, there's something different. On carbon and rosin, they put different rosin. You'd have to talk to Carlos about that. But that's what I was telling those guys. That sounds like that little tube that you could smack it up against something, like that weird sound. And it only lasted about 20, 30 swings, and it went away. And the performance was, we only swung it probably 50 times today. And to perform because we're doing something else. And we're getting ready for a tournament too, so we're swinging our gamers. So I was like, okay, we can't wait to swing that next week, and we're gonna see what it performs like. Great performance, but you got that big 1 ounce end load, guys. A lot of these guys can swing that bat speed above 75 mile an hour. Gonna love this bat because of that mass, collapsing of the wall, the barrel, getting great performance off of it. Because I'm just curious on what they did to this bat, what they did to it on the barrel wise, because it's not the same barrel. That's it, guys. My membership channel, you guys want to join that, just click on the join down below, look at it. I got a short video explaining on what the tiers are. That's going good. I've got a lot of videos I want to put out there. I don't want to flood the whole, membership channel with videos. I've got a lot of behind the scenes videos going up now. I think in the next 3 days, I've got a video coming out about how to break a bat in, or how we break bats in. I want to put that on there too. And then the reviews that are coming out, they get first look at all that, and for about 3 to 4 days, and then I put it out for all the other guys to see it. But guys, let's be safe this year. It's our third tournament from the beginning of the year. A lot of you guys I hear are just getting started up north. I got some nutritional stuff that's coming out, videos about a bunch of stuff, man, about a bunch of information that I found out within the last couple of months that I want to put out there, and those are going to go on the membership channel that I want to get to you guys, because there's a lot of good stuff that I have coming out, guys. But here, be safe, and I'll see you at the fields. Thanks, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. I got a couple more here that I want you to take a look at, and if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button right down here below. And I also have a membership channel. It's that little join button that you have right down here. Click on it, and it actually has a small video in there that explains everything in the membership. Plus, it actually helps support what we do. Thanks, guys.